Hello everyone, my name is Kushal Jain. I have secured All India rank 40 this year, and this was my fourth attempt and fourth interview. So I'll try to divide my strategy into prelims, mains, and then interview. So, and then I'll try to make it very simple for all of you to understand and follow, so that it is very easy for an average aspirant to clear this exam. Okay? If you have any doubts, we'll specifically divide time into that, so you can ask. Okay? Let's start from the prelims only. Ma'am, we'll start. Achha, if you want to know about my background, so I have done my engineering in information science and engineering from Rashtreeya Vidyalaya College of Engineering, Bengaluru. From there, I went on to work with Microsoft India Private Limited for 1.5 years, during which I gave my first attempt. And after that, I left my job and did this civil service preparation seriously. And I was able to reach interviews in all my attempt. Okay? A basic thing. And I belong from Jabalpur, Madhya Pradesh. Okay? Chalo. Let's start with the preparation strategy. We'll start with prelims, okay? Okay. See, now prelims is actually a 3-stage preparation. When I say 3-stage preparation, I mean that one stage is studying the static portion, right? Static portion, understanding the current affairs, the study part of it. See, I'll write only. Okay, pardon my writing. Huh? See, let us do this into 3 stages, okay? Now, first stage would be reading the static part, understanding all the syllabus and reading it. The second stage would be the question answers part, right? The papers part, okay? And the third stage would be attempting the paper part, the final day strategy, okay? We'll divide it into these 3 parts, okay? Now, the first part is static current affairs. I'm sure you're all aware with the static books that we have to refer? Or should I tell that? Okay, I'll tell you that. So in this basic polity, where do we study this from? Lakshmikant, right? Lakshmikant. Then comes geography. I'll tell you what I did, okay? You can follow whichever source that you want, the authentic one. I followed Nunal videos for this, okay? Because I was working while I was preparing, so I didn't have the luxury of attending a coaching, right? So I followed YouTube videos, which were available, open source, free for everybody. So for geography, I did Mrunal. Okay? There are the lectures there. Once you study the lecture from there, then there is PPT. So that you don't have to go through lecture again and again. You can always read their PPTs in the second or third go. So you can revise from there, right? And if you are following any coaching material for this, it is right. Just do this. Don't go for multiple sources, right? You have to read NCRTs for this. That is a given, right? NCRTs for this and GC Leong for this, right? All these are standard books. I'm not telling you to go for any other book apart from what is already recommended by the toppers, right? So if for geography, go for anything, that one source that you're going for. Read the static books, the NCRTs, the GC Leongs, right? That is the static part for geography. Then comes economics. I again did it from Ronald, open YouTube videos. You can again go for any other material that you're following. Just make sure that in economics, you have the basic understanding of economics. Rather than memorizing all the facts, go for understanding. Because if you see the papers that are coming in prelims, they are focusing on more of the understanding concept part, okay? Rather than which bank is, you know, all the factual things, no, who appoints the director, who appoints this, that. Go for understanding how inflation works, you know, how repo rate works, what is the impact, how government bonds work. Go for the understanding part, okay? Then comes environment. Again, for this, I followed Shankar IAS. You can follow whatever you want, any one source. But again, for environment, if you go for understanding what kind of questions are asked in the UPSC examination, the final day examination, you'll understand this is more of current affairs based, right? So you can definitely follow the current affair material for this. It can be Visions PT365 or any other current compilation source that you're following for environment will suffice this, right? Then what is left? History, okay. History again, what is the static source? Spectrum and NCRTs, right? So NCRTs for your ancient medieval part, all of that. Spectrum for your modern history, right? Okay, and apart from this, once you have done this, I also would suggest you that in Mrunal also, because again, I was a working professional, so I used to follow this Mrunal ka again, they have Pratik Nayak sir's history. What it is not another source. They are just basically Spectrum talking to you. So if you follow their notes, they have copied it from the Spectrum book, right? So every heading there is a heading there. What they have done is they have added pictures to it, right? So the visual memory helps you in the final exam, not only in the prelims but also in the mains, okay? What और कौन सा subject miss हो रहा है? Science and tech, okay. Science and tech, again, I say the best source for this is common sense. Okay? If you're following the papers that are coming, science and tech, you cannot study this from any reference book. Don't waste your time. Okay? What you do is study the current affairs that are related to science and tech, which can be broadly divided into space, then there is nanotechnology, cyber security, all of that subheads. Only read the current affair compilation on that. Okay? I'm assuming because now you are all graduates, you know basic science and tech things, right? Things like water का कैसे compound होता है, क्या polar solvents कहलाते हैं, all of this I'm assuming you know. If you don't know, then you can follow NCRTs for this. But if you have that basic 10th class की understanding, go for current affairs for this and use your common sense in the final exam. One thing that I want to tell you, इसके सब questions का answer D नहीं होता है. Okay? There's a misconception, right? There's a misconception that science and tech mark all D, you'll get marks, you will not. Okay? You can check last year's, I think there was a question on artificial intelligence commercial application. Or last year, one of these years. Now people mark D in that, right? But there was one option in which they were saying that electricity transmission through AI has already started. It has not, right? That is common sense. बिजली नहीं आ रही है अभी artificial intelligence के through हमारे घरों में. तो आप वो option काटते, आपका सही answer आ जाता based on the UPSC's answer की I'm talking about, okay? So don't go with that preconceived notion कि इसका सारा मैं D मार दूंगा या मार दूंगी और मेरा answer सही हो जाएगा, नहीं होगा. मैं मानता हूँ कि D की एक high probability होती है. Keep that in mind. I'm not saying just disregard D. Keep that in mind, but also read options and apply common sense, okay? What else? Art. वो तो इसके history में आ गया ना. Art and culture, okay. Even if you want to take it separately, इसमें there's this book. What is the standard source for this? NCRT is definitely there. There's one more standard book. Actually, Nitin Singhania. See, I never read that because it's a bulky book. The cost to benefit ratio is very less. Okay? You can, but if you are following this, you can also follow your coaching notes for art and culture. I'm sure they must be giving something, right? Just follow one source, whatever you have to. If you can't, Nitin Singhania का ही शायद short notes भी आता है ना? You can follow that also. Okay? See, again, divide your time based on cost-benefit ratio for prelims. Because more often than not, prelims is not about reading more, but applying more. Okay? So, in art and culture, again, if you want to follow, just follow one reference, but also make short notes out of it so that you don't have to follow it again and again. ठीक है? Art and culture. इसके अलावा? हाँ, okay, that is part of history only, no? ठीक है? ओके और ये सोर्सेस सारे क्लियर हो गए क्या? ठीक है, आगे बढ़ते हैं. इसके बाद आता है करंट अफेयर्स का पार्ट. ठीक है, नाउ करंट अफेयर्स व्हाट यू डू, बहुत सिंपल है. न्यूज़पेपर आप डेली पढ़ रहे हैं, ठीक है, पढ़ लेना, पढ़ना चाहिए. उससे आपकी एक तो मेंस की अंडरस्टैंडिंग डेवलप होगी, इंटरव्यू तक जाएगी आपके साथ वो. ठीक है, और प्रीलिम्स में क्या होता है ना, जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल आपको क्वेश्चन आता है इंडिया 2+2 किसके साथ करता है. नाउ वन थिंग इज कि आपने किसी करंट अफेयर मैगजीन में उसको रटा हुआ है कि इंडिया यूएस के साथ करता है. आई एम गिविंग एन एग्जांपल. ठीक है, बट अगर आपने उसको न्यूज़पेपर में अच्छे से पढ़ा हुआ है तो क्या होता है, न्यूज़पेपर में एक न्यूज़ एक दिन तो आती नहीं है, इट इज़ अ रनिंग कॉमेंट्री, राइट. तो वो आपके 1-2 हफ्ते जाती है वो न्यूज़, तो आप वो चीज़ कभी नहीं भूलोगे और वो क्वेश्चन आपके लिए प्रीलिम्स के दिन डाइसी नहीं बनेगा. बिकॉज मोर हम क्वेश्चंस में बात करेंगे कि बहुत सारे क्वेश्चंस यू विल ऑलवेज थिंक दैट 2 ऑप्शंस आर देयर, राइट. So those questions will fetch you certain marks if you have read that in newspaper and not in a currently magazine, right? Monthly magazine. So one is newspaper, okay? Newspaper. What is the other source for current affairs? Prelims के aspect से? Okay. Now there is one thing called monthly magazines and another thing is year-end compilations, right? ठीक है? अगर आप देखोगे तो जो मंथली मैगजीन है उसी की इंपॉर्टेंट जो न्यूज़ है वो कंप्रेस करके ईयरली मैगजीन में डाल दी जाती है, ठीक है? तो आई यूज टू डू दिस, आई यूज टू फॉलो द न्यूज़पेपर. आफ्टर दैट न्यूज़पेपर इफ यू गो ऑनलाइन, हर दिन के न्यूज़पेपर में से 5 या 6 प्रीलिम्स के क्वेश्चंस निकाले होते हैं, ठीक है? देयर आर क्वेश्चंस इन एवरी डे आउट ऑफ दीज न्यूज़पेपर्स करंट टॉपिक्स, राइट? I used to do that. Now it will 5 questions will take me hardly 5 minutes, ठीक है? But in those 5 minutes, I would definitely know how these questions can be asked from a prelims point of view. Okay? Now online आप जाएंगे आपको किसी भी वेबसाइट में ये चीज़ मिल जाएगी. 5 questions, 10 questions from that current affair for that day, right? Do this, ठीक है? You have to do this. Apart from this, yeah, once you've done that, in that only, apart from prelims 5 questions, there is 2 questions from mains also, right? Current affairs say. Every day you'll find these things. Do these things. This is application part. This is important, right? Once you've done that for every day religiously, you can definitely skip the monthly, but don't skip the yearly compilation. Okay? You can go for monthly also, depending on how much time do you have. I am talking about a strategy which will minimum effort, maximum marks, right? You can skip monthly, but you definitely have to follow yearly wala. ठीक है? This you can do for current affairs. Anything else in current affairs that people are following? No, right? This much is good for current affairs. Now this is the static part that you have to do. Okay? Any doubt in this static part? No, we'll move forward. ठीक है? ये तो हो गया. We have studied everything. Now we are prepared with the knowledge about everything. Now how to solve papers? Just a second. Okay, I'll do it here. Papers. Okay, so the first thing that you do, that you have to do here is, आप किसी भी कोचिंग का या आप खुद से भी कर सको, preferably किसी भी कोचिंग का, आप पूरे साल का शेड्यूल डाउनलोड कर लीजिए. You download the schedule of that coaching for entire year. What you'll get here is, you'll get a weekly timetable, right? कि एक हफ्ते में, in 1 week, we have to complete this much syllabus. At the end of that week, there's a question paper, sectional जिसको हम बोलते हैं, right? My handwriting is horrible, okay? Avoid it. So that question paper, after every week you have to solve. क्या होगा उससे? One thing that will happen is, एक तो आपका weekly you are in tune with the syllabus that you were supposed to complete. So you'll get some discipline, some form of discipline in your preparation, right? Once that is done, then you have the application of that weeklies. वीक में आप यहाँ से पढ़ रहे हैं, ठीक है? सो फॉर एग्जाम्पल इस वीक में है कि मुझे आई हैव टू फिनिश 3 chapters इन पॉलिटी, 3 chapters ऑफ इकोनॉमी, वॉट एवर इन दैट वीक यू हैव टू फिनिश. वो आपने यहाँ से पढ़ लिया, देन यू कम एंड देन यू आर सॉल्विंग क्वेश्चन पेपर्स, ठीक है? दैट वीक्स क्वेश्चन पेपर फ्रॉम दैट कोचिंग ओनली. सो वॉट दे मस्ट हैव डन इज दे मस्ट हैव पुट दिस वीक्स नॉलेज इन टू टेस्ट, राइट? सो दोनों चीज़ें हो गई. एक वन यू हैव स्टडीड, सेकेंड यू हैव अप्लाइड. Okay, this you have to do, and if you're following this religiously, you will always have a tentative time when which you will complete your syllabus, right? So the discipline in your approach will come from here, right? You will have ki just 2 months before prelims, I'm done with my entire syllabus, ठीक है? And I've practiced questions out of it, ठीक है? Once a substantial part of your syllabus is done, go for full length tests, okay? Full length tests. Now what you're doing is, you're doing sectional papers, you're doing full length test, okay? How to approach these question papers? Now once you have attempted the question paper, आप marks लगाओगे, you'll be disappointed, okay? Initially I'm talking about. Don't be disappointed. First attempt all 100 questions. Don't skip anything when you're practicing. This is your practice, this is not your final day, right? Final day we'll talk about separately. What you're doing is, you're attempting 100 questions. Why? You might not know, ठीक है? Because you have studied, A, you will know, B, you will not know. Chalo, let us assume. What will happen is, once you have attempted all those 100 questions, there is a human tendency of always remembering the faults that we make, correct? जो क्वेश्चन हमने गलत किया है, वील ऑलवेज रिमेंबर वो क्यों गलत था, एंड वील नेवर फॉरगेट द आंसर टू इट, राइट? आप फाइनल डे भी जब करके आओगे तो जो क्वेश्चंस आपके गलत हो रहे हैं, यू विल नेवर फॉरगेट दोस क्वेश्चंस, बिकॉज दीज क्वेश्चंस आर jeopardizing your selection, right? So what you do is attempt 100 questions in that. Once you've done, see, only 40% is attempting the paper. I'm saying 60% is reading the solution after you have done it. Why? Because out of these, only 3 categories are possible. First category is questions that you are 100% correct. You knew the concept, you applied the concept brilliantly, and you got the right result also. Okay? In these questions, if when you go and read the solution, you'll mostly know what the solution is because you know that question, right? Second would be, you didn't know the question, but somehow you reached to the option which was correct, right? So you didn't know the question, but somehow you reached the option that was correct. Read the solution there. Why? Because your logics would be tested. See, ultimately this exam is about I'm talking about prelims, right? So ultimately this exam is about getting your logics right on the final day, right? So आपने जो भी logic लगाया होगा उस question में, because you were not very well versed with the theory part, you applied some logic, right? In this, because you knew the theory, तो logic का aspect आया ही नहीं. यहाँ पे आपने जो भी logic लगाया वो आपका सही हो गया, ठीक है? So read about that. What it will do, it will first append your knowledge about the topic, because this is some area that you were not very comfortable with theoretically. तो आपका knowledge बढ़ेगा, आपका application authenticate हो जाएगा कि whatever logic that you have applied is authenticated here. Okay. Third would be questions जो you had no idea, which went wrong also. Now in these questions, A आपका logic ठीक हो जाएगा by reading the solutions, and B कोई नई theory आपको फिर से पता चल जाएगी, ठीक है? यहाँ ये इनको याद रखना, because this is where you applied your brains and got it wrong. So don't repeat this on the final day, right? So these questions, इसलिए 100 questions आप attempt करो, नहीं आता तो भी attempt करो, कोई बात नहीं. This is practice. Nobody is judging you based on that, right? So this is how you have to approach the papers part. Okay? Okay. Now we talk about the final day. Now final day approach is very important. Why? Because ultimately this is the thing that is going in front of the machine, the OMR machine that is going to check your paper. See, there are some key thumb rules to this, okay? First is, how many questions do you guys are thinking that you will attempt? Around range? More than 80, right? I'm saying 85 to 92. This must be an ideal target. Why? Because there are many subjective questions that are coming in this in the prelims paper, right? These questions, even the coaching institutes after 2 to 3 weeks are not sure of the answers. Okay, many questions are there, you'll find. So you cannot rely on that strategy where you are saying, I am going to focus on my accuracy. This is not happening because the papers are increasingly getting tougher and the subjectivity is increasing, right? So try attempting at least 85 questions, maximum 90 questions, 92 questions. That is, you can go above if you know that much. But I am saying in an average case scenario, okay? Second thing is, now, okay, see, this is one issue that is coming, that should we mark OMR in our first round? So divide your final day paper into 3 rounds, okay? कुछ भी समझ आ रहा है? एक सेकंड. नहीं, ये. हाँ, okay. ठीक है? 3 rounds. अब ये 3 rounds कैसे करना है? फर्स्ट राउंड, ठीक है? आपके पास पेपर आया, आपने पेपर खोला, रीडिंग मतलब you started solving the paper, okay? You have to solve all the 100 questions within 1 hour. Wait, hold on. Okay, within 1 hour to 1 hour 10 minutes. ठीक है? These 100 questions you have to go through. First round में you have to go through 100 questions within 1 hour 10 minutes. That is 70 minutes, right? अब क्या होगा? एक सेकेंड ना, I'll continue. इसको यहाँ पे थोड़ा रब कर दीजिए ना प्लीज. कहाँ प्लस? हाँ. Okay. We are discussing about final day paper, okay? As I told you, that 3 rounds. First round, 100 questions in maximum 1 hour 10 minutes. Try to do it even before, but okay, maximum 1 hour 10 minutes. Now after this first round, you'll have 4 kinds of, अभी आपको MR mark नहीं करना है, ठीक है? I'll tell you why. After this first round, you'll have 4 sets of questions with you. What are these 4 sets? First set would be 100% I know the answer. First set, right? 100% I know the answer. Second set would be I'm confused between 2 options. ठीक है? Confused between 2 options. Third set would be I may reach to the answer, but this will require a deeper analysis. Okay? I know this concept, but I'm not able to put this question into first 2 categories. I want to think more about these questions, right? So these are questions that require a little more thinking. Fourth is I have absolutely no clue about either the question or the option. ठीक है? These 4. After first round, every question in your paper must have one of these marks. Marks you can decide कि भाई if I know the question, what mark will I put or whatever. ठीक है? This is based on your understanding. It should reflect, your paper should reflect to you what category you have put that question into, right? After 100 question, every question after 1 hour or 1 hour 10 minutes, every question must have one of these marks. Now you'll come to the second round, okay? Second round mein, what you'll do is, now you'll take out your OMR sheet. Why? Because time is also a constraint, right? You'll again read these questions. So, okay, so now you'll start again with the second round. मान लो ये, if you encounter these questions, right? Now you know the answer, okay? Why are you again reading this? To avoid any silly mistakes. These should fetch you 100% marks. These questions. यहाँ पे silly mistake नहीं होना चाहिए because you yourself are claiming that you know the answer, right? So what you do is, just reread this. It will hardly take you 5 seconds. Ask yourself, are you sure about the answer? Your 99.9% of the times, yes ही आता है answer, right? ऐसे में कभी not वाले आते हैं, incorrect वाले आते हैं, वो check कर लेना. ये stage उसके लिए है, right? तो आप तुरंत उसको mark कर दो. तो ये वाले तो खत्म हो गए. Then comes the second part, right? Confused between 2 options. Whenever you're confused between 2 options, I follow this strategy. I do a reverse engineering sorts. Now there are 2 options, suppose I'm confused, right? I ask myself, if option A was given, can I come back to the question? इनमें से जिस भी option में से you can come back to the question, that answer is mostly correct. Again, I'm using mostly because this is not a 100% strategy, right? It has worked for me 4 out of 4 times. So I'm saying it might help you also. Try forming the question from the option. Whichever option brings you closest to the question, that answer is usually correct, right? Or you think about it or whatever, you have to attempt these questions. You don't have to leave these questions because you have 50% probability of succeeding here, right? So try attempting these questions, okay? तो ये वाले questions भी हो गए. Then comes this part. I am assuming यहाँ पे you must have spent around another 40 minutes. So you must not be left with more than 10 to 15 minutes in the paper. Give 5 minutes for all your name filling and all the invigilator things. Keep 5 minutes reserved for that because that will be utilized, right? Now you are left with 15 minutes and you have these 2 sets of questions remaining, okay? Now comes the third category. Third category is about thinking. Use 8 minutes of your time to devote to this category. This hardly will have 10 questions in it, right? Because otherwise you must have covered these in the first 2 categories, any question that you're acquainted with. So these questions you have to think a little about. ठीक है? Try marking at least 4 to 5 from this. ठीक है? तो ये third category हो गई. Now you're left with 5 minutes. This is bonus. Okay? If you think that you can reach at least, suppose now these will be around 8 questions. I'm pretty sure. Every year there are some bounces like that. And there will be. Be prepared for that. You can either leave these questions very comfortably, or if you want to try your luck, don't try your luck in more than 3 questions. Okay? जो वो जय माता दी बोल के भी लगाते हैं. If you want to do this, now this is the time. Okay? If you think your around 85 questions are attempted, or around 86, 87 are attempted, don't take that risk. Okay? But if this comes out to around 70 questions only, okay? And out of these 70 questions, 50 were from these categories, then you have to take the risk, right? Because you otherwise तो selection नहीं हो रहा है, right? Then don't attempt more than 3 to 4 questions from this. Don't attempt all the 8. They will fetch you ultimately negative marks only, right? So this is how you attempt the paper, okay? Any doubts in this? Or we'll move forward, okay? So prelims, I think, mostly is about understanding the concepts, but also applying it in this manner. Okay? If you apply it in this manner, I think more often than not, you'll sail through prelims, okay? Because I am assuming everybody here sitting or watching is a serious aspirant, right? Okay, this is about the GS paper. Then comes the CSAT paper, okay? This is another hurdle in the process, right? See, now how to approach CSAT paper. What I follow is, again, this is subjective. What I follow is, I devote 1 hour, 15 minutes to maths. Okay? Why do I do this? Because this will fetch me pakke number. Okay? Because I can be sure of how many marks am I getting if my maths goes well. In English, I always tell you, devote around 50 minutes. Why? Because it is possible that your English is very good, but the person who will finally set the answer keys, we don't know about him or her, right? If you check from answer keys also, and most of the questions in the passages are inference questions. It is not a direct question. It is what do you understand from the passage. Now that has this element of subjectivity attached to it. Okay? This has more chances of going wrong than this. Okay? And this is a qualifying paper. You have to somehow score 66 marks in this. Okay? Try using maths as your weapon in this. Use English. If you're comfortable with English, again, nothing is sure shot. I am just telling you what worked for me. Use maths as your tool. Use English as a subsidiary tool. Try attempting whatever you know in maths in 1 hour, 10 minutes. Then go for, because otherwise what will happen is, if you devote first hour or 50 minutes to English, then you'll be in a moment of panic, right? In panic, you will not be able to solve maths. But in panic, you'll be able to read passages, क्योंकि आप एक बार जो passage पढ़ोगे and whatever answer you think, आप उसको 10 बार पढ़ोगे तो anyway you are going to get that answer only. But in maths, there is a possibility that your thinking rationally will help you reach the final answer, right? So do this. Go for maths first, then go for English first. Now suppose you have problem in CSAT, right? Don't go for any other thing, just previous year questions. Previous year questions, you have to solve maths or English, whatever. But your reference should be previous year questions and not any CAT book. Okay? Because you are solving UPSC, right? So go for that. Yeah, I think that is there for prelims. Any questions in prelim strategy? Huh? Any questions? Can you be a little louder? I'm considering reasoning in maths. Okay? This is just passages that I'm talking about. Reasoning, everything that involves logic is maths. Okay? Anything else? Okay? We have talked about avoiding basic errors like ऐसे कोई भी pre-assumption लेके नहीं जाना है. No pre-assumptions. कि if all of the above is the answer, I'll mark that. है ना? If there's an organization given, so वो गलत ही होता है. There are no pre-assumptions like this. Okay? Read the question, apply your logic to it, and then reach to the answer. Please don't take any pre-assumptions. Okay, then there was one question that prelim-specific preparation and when should an aspirant shift their focus completely towards prelims? Now this is again a question, right? I would suggest, I'm assuming everybody here or watching must have around 8 to 10 months for prelims preparation, or before giving your attempt, you must have devoted that much time to your studies. Take 1.5 to 2 months before your prelims examination and devote that time entirely to prelims preparation. Because more often than not, what will happen is, if you're not able to clear prelims, you will not be able to apply your mains logics, right? Mains preparation. So give prelims that much focus, and most challenging stage is prelims at the end of the day, if you see, because there are many aspirants that are trying to occupy very few seats, right? And it is dynamic. It is the most dynamic aspect of this preparation. So try to focus that much time on prelims, okay? Sources we have talked about. Mock test we have talked about, okay? Now let's move to mains preparation. Okay? Okay, anybody here who has given mains? You've given? No? Everybody is a fresher here? Or not clearing prelims, one of the categories? Okay. So mains preparation is, again, very easy but very hard to follow. It's a very easy preparation, you just have to keep doing this, okay? What you do is, if you take any paper, for example, you take GS1, okay? You read the syllabus of UPSCs, okay? For any paper, right? I'm taking GS1 for an example. There are 20 subheads in that syllabus. You can look at it right now also, but I'm telling you there are 20 subheads, right? What you do is you open any, I would suggest, everybody has a laptop, right? So open a Word document or whatever, note document or whatever, copy paste this into first subhead, second subhead, third subhead, and so on, right? Now what you do is, you open previous year question papers, okay? Previous year question papers, you open, and GS1 I'm talking about, right? And this applies to GS2, GS3 as well. GS4 we'll talk about separately. Once you've opened previous year question papers of GS1 in this case, you take that question, you read that question, and you see in which category that question will come. Any of the subheads में से ही आया होगा question, है ना? Syllabus का part है ये तो. You put it in that. So suppose first category में you have 3-4 questions, है ना? Second category में again you have 3-4 questions and so on, right? इससे क्या होगा? The first thing that will happen is you will understand what kind of questions are asked, right? Which is your holy Bible, if I can say that. That you have to understand from previous year questions what kind of questions are being asked in every subhead. Okay? So you have that basic understanding that, okay, these are the questions that are being asked. After doing that, you take this first subhead, for example, and whatever your static, okay, first thing is, there's no separate preparation for prelims and mains from the understanding of concepts part, right? Every concept needs to be understood first. The difference will come is when you'll apply that concept. When you're applying it from prelims point of view, your focus should be more on how to eliminate options, how to use it, what are the key concepts, what are the key features in this concept which I can use to eliminate options, right? But from mains point of view, what will be your focus? Your focus would more on analysis, right? What are the positives of this aspect? What are the negatives? What is the conceptual clarity that I need to know? What is the way forward, right? How you write an answer. So this is the difference when it comes to application. From understanding point of view, both are the same. From prelims as well as mains. Whenever you study, you have to understand the concept, right? Okay. Now you have divided the subheads and you have marked all the questions from previous year questions, right? So this will give you basic understanding questions kaise aate hain. Once that is done, what you do is you take your static concepts only. Suppose history, hai na? Suppose history. Now you start dividing that based on subheads. Whatever understanding you have, make sure in every subhead you have not more than 3 to 4 pages ke notes. Chote chote. ठीक है? 3 to 4 pages ke notes in every subhead. 20 subheads, you'll maximum end up with 80 pages for one paper, right? What will be there in these 3-4 pages? First, your understanding, that is there. Now you don't have to again make short notes out of it. Any specific facts that you think you can remember. Not overload this with facts, because otherwise on the final day you will not be able to remember those facts, right? Any 1 or 2 fact, maximum 2 fact per question, per subhead, right? This should be there in your 3 to 4 pages. Any innovative way forwards, any challenges that you think, 3-4 challenges, 3-4 way forwards, whatever is there, right? ये सब आपके ये 3-4 पेज में जाएगा, ठीक है? Why? Because just even if I give you 1 hour to revise, you will only revise this, and you're ready with your GS paper, right? So any facts, any figures, there are graphs if you can, right? There are graphs, then there are flow charts if you think are required. So this is how you will prepare your static part for mains. GS 1, 2, 3. This is the divided into subheads. See the previous year questions, make these notes, and then this is your static part that you have to follow. Now again comes the second part, which is practice. Okay, I'm saying papers. Okay, I think this is the most important part in mains preparation, right? Now how do you have to do this? You are making notes out of this, okay? Now suppose you have completed again. For this, follow any coaching's schedule. I just want everybody to have a schedule of preparation so that you have a strategic knowledge of what you're doing. Otherwise, what will happen is you'll devote 2 or 3 weeks to polity, 2 3 weeks to geography, and at the end you'll realize that nothing is completed, right? So you have to first go through any coaching institute, any reputed one, and first you have to see how much time do you have and what is the strategy that they are following. So every sectional paper, if you see, is based on some of the weekly syllabus only, right? Weekly, 2 weekly, whatever you see, that is according to you. So from that schedule, when you have completed, suppose 7 subheads from here, right? Which you were supposed to complete in a week. Then what you do is, you take that sectional paper for mains, right? Now there are 20 questions. You know these are from these subheads, okay? Which static part aapka ho gaya. What you do is, you take question number 1, you brainstorm. Brainstorm kaise? You read that question, you ask to yourself, if this question came in the final day, what I will do? First, I will write some introduction, obviously. You just scribble that introduction. I'm not asking you to write that paper. I'm just asking you to brainstorm abhi, hai na? So you first read the question, you go to that introduction part, you think to yourself, ki introduction mein main yahan pe kya likhti? ठीक है? Whatever I write in that, just scribble. Ki, okay, I would have mentioned this report, I would have mentioned this fact, something, okay? Then comes to the main body part. You scribble 3, 4, 5 points, whatever you think. As many points that you know, you just scribble here, okay? Then you come to the challenges part, way forward, whatever the question is demanding, okay? तो इतना सा साइड में, जैसे अगर ये पेज है सोल्यूशन का, ये सोल्यूशन का पेज है, तो इसके साइड में यहाँ पे स्क्रिबल कर लो आप, ठीक है? कि ये क्वेश्चन था, ये उसका सोल्यूशन, ये मॉडल सोल्यूशन ये था, और अभी सोल्यूशन पढ़ा नहीं है, अभी बस क्वेश्चन पढ़ के स्क्रिबल किया है, okay? Once you have done that and you have the idea of the question, then what you do is you read the solution. What will happen? 2 things will happen. First thing that will happen is, first you'll get a clarity whether your understanding of the question was correct or not. Correct? So you will get an understanding ki my understanding of the question was correct. Second, the points that I have mentioned are good points, because now you're reading it here. If you find those points here, then those were good points, right? And if you don't find, आपका knowledge improve हो गया उस question से related. If you find any facts from introduction here, put it here so that you always remember कि I thought introduction in this manner, but it could have been better in this manner, right? What you're doing is you are practicing here. This is not your, अभी आप paper नहीं लिख रहे हो, अभी you are training your mind how to approach a question, okay? You'll do it for all the questions. Now again, your static is done for these subheads, your questions are done for these subheads. अब आप इसको रख दो. ऐसे what you'll do is you'll do it for every subhead for GS 1, 2, 3. At the end, आपकी एक sectional पूरा आपका एक test series complete हो गई है ना? You know how to how to approach a question. You know what is the best introduction, what is the best body, and what is the best conclusion in it, right? यहाँ से अगर if you find any fact that you can remember, you put it where? In your 3 to 4 pages notes. Okay? This is how you're interlinking your static, your questions, and again back to your notes, right? Okay. After you have done this, so suppose अब आपका GS1 complete हो गया, ठीक है? आपने subheads कर लिए, you have made notes, you have approached the test series, the sectional thing. Once this is complete, then you go for full length test. I will recommend you write one full length test every 4 or 5 days. ठीक है? This is once you have cleared prelims. Okay? Because before that, if you are a fresher, first learn the concepts. Don't jump into mains answer writing. Because A, you will not have the content to write, and B, that will not be a very good answer, honestly. है ना? So you'll get demotivated also. So don't do that. First, understand the concept. Once you think that you have gone through the syllabus from prelims point of view, अच्छे से आपको आने लगा है, then you do this. Okay? Every 4 to 5 days, you write one test. Write this test in an actual exam setting. ठीक है? For mains, I would recommend you join any test series. Why? Because A, you will have exam-like experience. आप center पे आओगे या आप जहाँ भी घर पे भी दे रहे हो, you will complete this in 3 hours, which is very important. Okay? Secondly, you'll get it evaluated also. Why? Because everybody thinks their answer is the best until and unless it gets evaluated, right? So get it evaluated. This evaluation you can do from any senior, from any mains writing aspirant, anybody who you think is serious about the preparation. Okay? So every day you are doing this, every 4 to 5 days you are writing a test paper. ठीक है? This is how you approach GS 1, 2 and 3. Any doubts in this? No? Okay, we'll move forward. Now comes GS 4. Okay. Now GS 4 is a little different. Why? Because it is a subjective paper. Okay? There is no sure shot strategy of GS 4. Every year the paper is different. Last time it was more on a static point of view. Before that it was very dynamic. If you see, right? Case study se leke kuch bhi aap dekho. So this is a subjective part. Okay? How to approach this? You take your syllabus. Syllabus is available on UPSC's website. Now you divide this into keywords. So if you see, there are not more than 30 keywords in this syllabus. Okay? 30 keywords ho gaye. Now these keywords will be your focus. Okay? What you do is, you take any reputed coaching's notes, any topper's notes, whatever you find which are authenticated, first go through it. Okay? So you will have basic understanding of how to approach. अच्छा, इसमें भी दो part है ना, एक तो है static है, जो और एक है case studies, right? Ethics paper is divided into these two parts. Okay? So what you do is, once you have read a good coaching ka notes or a topper ka notes, anything, you divide this into 30 keywords, or how many keywords you think are from the syllabus, UPSC's GS4 syllabus, right? Now these 30 keywords, you take 1 page for every keyword or 2 pages for every keyword, not more than that. Okay? Now what will these 1 or 2 pages have? This will have first उस keyword की एक अच्छी standard definition. Okay? So suppose I am taking integrity. So integrity is definition from any good source that you have followed for ethics preparation, right? तो उसकी definition हो जाएगी. ठीक है? This 1 or 2 pages that I am talking about. This will have one keyword, one keyword के 2 pages या 1 page या 2 page, उसकी एक definition. ठीक है? Once this definition is done, second thing would be any flowchart, any graph that you can make. Now, what do I mean by this? I'll tell you. So suppose there is a keyword intelligence, okay, aptitude, and there's another keyword integrity, right? So I'm just giving an example. Huh? You can make it for your own self. Now suppose I write aptitude here and I write integrity here, okay? Aptitude है, तो हम मैथ से पढ़ते थे ना, this is positive, this is negative, this is positive, this is negative, right? If you have aptitude also and you have integrity also, then you're आपके काम में वो चीज़ आ जाएगी, dedication आ जाएगा, any good thing, it will come here, right? Because you have aptitude also and you have integrity also. Now suppose you have aptitude, but you don't have integrity, तो corruption बढ़ जाएगा, it will be harder to catch you, right? So I'm just telling you like this. अब जैसे मान लीजिए आपके पास integrity है पर aptitude नहीं है, तो innovation तो आप कभी ला ही नहीं पाओगे, है ना? तो redundancy बढ़ जाएगी, ठीक है? ऐसे यहाँ पे अब आपके पास अगर integrity ही नहीं है और aptitude भी नहीं है, तो फिर तो आप कुछ अच्छा नहीं कर पाओगे कभी, ठीक है? I'm giving an example. तो ऐसा कोई अगर आपको figure समझ में आता है, तो you will include it in your notes, right? Next, तो ये figures के लिए first is definition, second is these kind of figures. जरूरी नहीं है कि हर कीवर्ड के लिए आपके पास ये फिगर हो, पर जिनके लिए हो प्लीज इंक्लूड इट हियर, राइट? थर्ड थिंग इज एग्जांपल्स. ओके, नाउ दिस इज अगेन वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट. एवरी कीवर्ड शुड हैव अराउंड 3 एग्जांपल्स. ओके, कैसे? वन एग्जांपल शुड बी योर पर्सनल एग्जांपल. ओके, पर्सनल एग्जांपल मीन्स स्टैंडर्डाइज्ड, है ना? नॉट वेरी पर्सनल टू यू, अदरवाइज इट विल नॉट be replicated and वो examiner relate ही नहीं कर पाएगा इस examples, right? So any generic personal example, okay? Second example can be an administrative example, ठीक है? Very important. Mostly in papers, please use this because you're writing this paper to become an administrator, right? So use ethical keywords example administrators वाले. मैं एक example दे देता हूँ, जैसे अगर emotional intelligence की बात की जाए, right? तो for signing any peace accords, Naga peace accord, Mizo, any peace accords, the administrator, the interlocutor या mediator जिसको हम बोलते हैं, they have to have emotional intelligence, right? Otherwise किसी ना किसी पार्टी के साथ आप justice नहीं कर पाओगे. तो if you are using, I'm giving just examples, you can include your examples, है ना? तो this is a very important example that you have to use, है ना? तो ये भी लिखो. And third can be your mythological example या religious example, है ना? Anything that you can quote, a spiritual example, what I'm trying to say. So these 3 categories of example for this keyword must be there in your 1 to 2 pages notes. तो अब ये आप नोट समझ गए क्या है? इसमें डेफिनेशन है, ऐसा कोई ग्राफ है अगर आपको समझ में आ रहा है, और ऐसे एग्जाम्पल्स है, राइट, फॉर एवरी कीवर्ड, कीवर्ड्स टेकन फ्रॉम सिलेबस, राइट. तो यहां से आपके GS4 पेपर के नोट्स बनेंगे. नाउ दिस इज व्हाट, दिस इज फॉर द स्टैटिक पार्ट, द फर्स्ट 10 क्वेश्चंस दैट कम. द सेकंड पार्ट इन GS4 इज योर केस स्टडीज, राइट. हाउ टू अप्रोच दिस केस स्टडीज. लंबी सी केस स्टडी आ गई मान लीजिए, है ना, इट्स अ लेंदी केस स्टडी. व्हाट यू डू इज योर आंसर राइटिंग पार्ट, first para should be you telling the examiner that I have understood the key concept that is being questioned here. You know? It can be a personal versus professional ethics. It can be anything from the case study. What this case study tries to highlight. You know? It can be a corporate ethics. Anything that is targeted. You have to say the above case study deals with falana dhikana. Jo bhi, anything. है ना? वैसा. So the above case study deals with the key aspect of this. है ना? वैसे. Then you start addressing the question. उस केस स्टडी में वो क्वेश्चन पूछा होता है ना, ABCD, यू राइट A, यू एड्रेस दैट, यू राइट B, यू एड्रेस दैट, ऐसे करके यू एड्रेस द एंटायर केस स्टडी. एंड एट द एंड व्हेन वी से द कंक्लूजन पार्ट ऑफ द आंसर, यू हैव टू राइट, by doing the above things I have ensured, or if some person's name is given, that person has ensured that he is an emotionally intelligent, he is an officer with integrity, jo bhi, whatever you have tried to address in that question, right? So this is the 3 phase in which you write an ethics answer. Okay, the case study part. If that case study is not a conventional case study that happened last year, the case study was not very conventional, then you have to think on your toes. Don't go with a preset mindset that only this structure I'll follow. No, this will work when this is a conventional case study. When the case study is not conventional, please use your mind, please use your innovation. Okay? When you're using your innovation, just make sure anything that you write is constitutionally valid. Okay? Anything that is not unbecoming of an officer. Okay? Anything that you write must be constitutionally valid. Please use as many constitutional articles to justify whatever you are saying in the case study. Okay? Suppose if a case study is on animals, you can definitely justify it by quoting a DPSP, which says that we have to protect animals and environment. Right? Use that. If you know any Supreme Court on cases, please use that. Right? Whatever constitutionally valid things you know, please use that to justify any argument that you make. Okay? All the examples that you have done here, if any example is valid in this case study, please mention them. Okay? Suppose if a case study is again on dealing with tribals or dealing with any secession or autonomy things, please use this key as done by some interlocutor or some mediator. I'll use this. Okay? Please do that. Use interconnection between case studies and ethics, the static part. Okay? This is how you approach the ethics paper. Any doubt in this? Okay. I told you, no. The sources is one source that you are following. It can be any coaching's notes on ethics or any topper's notes. Whatever you find is according to you. You find that I can do it, I can read it. These are understandable to me. Follow that source, but do this also. This is your source that will go with you. Right? These 30 keywords, 60 pages, this is your actual notes for this exam. Okay? Keep appending this. इसको upgrade करते रहिए. This is not कि एक बार लिख लिया तो हो गया. नहीं. If you find a better example, remove this example, put that. Okay? Ultimately, on the final day, you should have a great repository of these examples, and this definition you have to learn by heart. Okay? If it is asked, you have to reproduce this definition. Okay? Any other ethics issue? नहीं? चलो आगे बढ़ते हैं. Then comes the paper called essay. Okay? Again, now this is a nightmare these days. Why? Because UPSC has moved towards. पहले क्या होता था? Before I started preparation, I used to hear this from seniors कि 4 आते हैं इधर, 4 आते हैं इधर. Avoid the philosophical. इन 3 में से कुछ करके आना. पहले ये स्ट्रैटेजी होती थी ऐसे की. Now UP has done is ये सारे philosophical हैं. You cannot avoid it, right? So when you cannot avoid it, let's face it. And how to face it? First, you have to understand essay में there is no one strategy. Essay is about you expressing as much as you know about a topic, right? So there is no one fixed strategy for essay, especially in the philosophical aspect वाले essay. And now I am assuming, let us assume the worst कि फिर से everything will come philosophical essay only. ठीक है? So how to approach that? First thing is you have to take a very open mind in essay exam. Matlab, there is no structure. Forget about the structure. There is some static things that we'll discuss. Apart from that, keep that in mind that you have to think there. Okay? You have ample time to think. Essay is not a paper in which anybody can complain कि time kam pad gaya. There is no deficiency of time in this paper because they want you to think. In GS, there is always that issue, but in essay, this is not the issue. So use that time. Use that time in thinking about the topic. So how to select a topic, okay? Now you have 4 topics that is there, okay? 4 out of 4 are philosophical. So what you do is, you see, first of all, which is the easiest philosophical question. So last year, there was one question, there are better practices to best practices. It was one question, right? Now, it's an easy topic. Why? Because what we study in essay is, we study कि there are some dimensions, philosophy, political, social, environmental, ऐसे पढ़ते हैं ना, कि ये ऐसे सब dimension में बांट लो, उस topic को उस dimension में डाल के देख लो, answer आ जाएगा, ऐसे बन जाएगा. तो ऐसे अगर, so suppose now if you are planning to go with this approach, think that whichever topic is the most suitable in this format, right? So there are best practices to there are better practices to best practices. Can I not apply it in this? Can I not apply it in polity? What is the best practice that you think that is in our polity right now? Anything? Suppose elections, okay? We are using EVM machines. It's a good practice. It's a foolproof practice. Can it not be made better? Definitely it can be. So is it not a part of there are better practices to best practices? Definitely. तो ये टॉपिक से आपने पॉलिटी को रिलेट कर दिया कि नहीं कर दिया? You have done it, right? So think कि which ऐसे टॉपिक you can break it into like this, okay? Suppose environment है ना? Environment में कुछ तो अच्छा हो ही रहा होगा, ठीक है? There are so many accords that are done right. There are so many progress that India is making or the world is making, whatever. But can it not be done better? It can be, right? So am I not relating these philosophical topics through to these static preparation that we're doing? We are, right? So try first thinking which topic suits this, okay? If it is not happening, suppose it is not happening, then choose that topic in which you are most comfortable and you think I can break this into many dimensions. For doing that, you first have to understand what the topic is asking, okay? Now suppose there was last time, there was one topic that self-discovery has been technologically outsourced. This was one topic that came last year, okay? Now I don't know what to write. I wrote about that, but I know that I know about outsourcing, technological outsourcing things. So how many dimensions can I divide into? I can divide it into health, I can divide it into education, I can divide it into relations. By aaj, what we like is mostly told to us by technology, right? So I can definitely do this. So wahan baith ke you have to divide it into dimensions, as many as you can. This is the brainstorming part, and UPSC gives you time for this because essay mein you have time to think. So जिस भी topic के लिए आप ये सोच पा रहे हैं वहाँ पे, और you can divide it into broader aspects. For example, there was this topic called some research or something. Research is nothing but something with science, some topic, right? अब उसमें if you write an essay, you will only write in the research aspect, which is a very narrow aspect, right? So don't choose that. Choose such topics in which you can write a broad essay on, whatever dimensions may that be. ठीक है? First try to fit it into this category. If you can't, then try to take a topic which you can divide into many dimensions. Okay? Once you have done that, I think essay part will be more often than not easier to tackle. How to study, what to study. In essay, first of all your GS preparation is essay only, okay? But if you want something separate also, you divide the essay into themes. Now these themes are available anywhere online. You just look for it. इसमें women होता है, health होता है, education होता है, anything. These are themes, right? In every theme, you write 1 or 2 anecdotes. Anecdotes आप समझते हैं क्या? Anecdotes are basically stories, short stories that you might use to introduce your essay, okay? In every theme, you write 1 or 2 such short stories in your notes. होगा क्या? एक तो you will not have to waste your time thinking about that story on the final day. And second thing, what you'll do is, these stories would be more relevant. These stories would be more appropriate to write in an essay exam, okay? So if you have to divide into themes, write 1 or 2 anecdotes. Okay. Yojana magazine hoti hai. You don't have to read that. What you have to read it, just the editor's note in this. That is 1 page. In every Yojana, that is 1 page, editor's note, right? So 12 months ke 12 pages ho gaye. You have to read this. Just these one page for from every Yojana. These 12 pages, what they'll do is they'll help you reach to a flow of writing. So when you'll see in that 1 page, that editor, whoever is writing the Yojana, has summarized the entire magazine into 4 or 5 paragraphs. Okay? What you'll understand is how to summarize your concepts into free-flowing paragraphs, and which is what you have to do in essay paper also. I would not suggest you to draw any diagrams or write it in points in essay. People do that, they get marks, but more often than not, they don't. Okay? So whatever, because essay is essay, right? It's not a GS paper. You have to write a free-flowing answer. So don't go for points. Don't write it in, try writing it in paragraphs, okay? Try making a flow out of it. How to make a flow out of it? Suppose you are covering 1 dimension, okay? Just don't jump into the other dimension straight away. Give a connecting line, okay? Ki having focused on health, the other aspect of social indicator is education, in which, and then cover the education, right? So this is the connecting line. What it will do is, it will help the examiner maintain the flow, right? In every page, somewhere, mention at least 1 or 2 keywords from the topic. Hai na? So suppose if I'm writing there are better practice to best practices, I will mention that this is how, this is a better practice to establish best practice. What it will do is, it will help the examiner notice that I am not forgetting about the topic. Even if you are, if in 1 page your topic is mentioned, it will always ensure that the examiner knows कि आपको topic याद है, कि आप क्या लिख रहे हो, बहना मत. This will help, this will prevent you from flowing in some other direction that might cost you negatively, okay? So do all of these things. First, try divide it into this. Okay, what is the time division of it? Try to focus first 20 minutes. Oh, there are 3 hours, 1.5 hour per essay, है ना? 1.5 hour में से, this is 1 hour 30 minutes, right? 1 hour 30 minutes में से devote first 20 minutes into making a structure of your essay. और उस structure में don't just write these dimensions, also write the introduction that you'll write. Okay? Ki, in your structure, in these 20 minutes you're writing ki intro mein I'll write this. This is in your rough space, right? Ki intro mein I'll write this, dimensions mein I'll write this. Conclusion mein I'll write something, whatever. Okay, conclusion should be always optimistic. You're writing an essay, right? Essay mein conclusion should always be optimistic and it should be filled with practical solutions. Kuch bhi utopian mat likhna, which is not very implementable, right? Everything that is implementable, practical and optimistic, okay? Always your essay should end at a good taste. It should never end in a bad taste. Ki whatever we try to do, Indian women will always be oppressed. ऐसा मत लिखो, ठीक है? Write something optimistic, कि how to empower them, how to give them more powers, whatever you have to write. End your essay with an optimistic note always, okay? Because he or she, whoever the examiner is, will give you marks after reading your essay. They will not start giving you marks beach mein se. So end should always be optimistic, right? I think essay में इतना काफ़ी है. बस 20 मिनट आप इसको दें और उसके बाद लिखें. Try filling all the 12 pages. In essay there is a broader sheet as compared to GS. Okay? ये जो sheet होगी जो लिखने की, it will be broader. Try filling those 12 pages. ठीक है? Don't write very small font. Write a bigger legible font. When you write like this, आप पैराग्राफ में नहीं, आप पैराग्राफ हाईलाइट नहीं कर पाओगे. ट्राई स्टार्टिंग ऐसे, ठीक है? सो दैट व्हेन यू ब्रेक एंड कम इनटू अनदर पैरा इट इज विजिबल, ठीक है? ये जो गैप रहता है, ये सब बेसिक चीजें हैं, ठीक है? व्हेन यू स्टार्ट राइटिंग, डोंट फॉरगेट टू प्रैक्टिस ऐसे पेपर. इन 1 week you have to give at least 1 essay paper whenever you think the time is right, okay? one essay paper per week you must write, ठीक है? Okay, any doubts in essay paper? See, people draw. I don't suggest. You can, but that is up to your risk. People draw. It's not like they don't draw, but it breaks the flow, honestly. That flow diagram breaks the flow of your essay. Because the purpose of essay paper is to check your how better you can express your emotions. You can definitely use flow diagrams, but I have never used it. And I have always gotten good marks in essay. So I don't use it. Many toppers that I know don't use it. Some do, they get marks. So it's upon you, but practice it. Don't do anything for the first time on the final day. Always practice whatever you are doing, get it evaluated. ठीक है? Okay, anything else in essay? नहीं? आगे बढ़े? Let me check. कुछ. Okay, just last thing in essay paper is you have to think on the go. This will be a bouncer. You have to be ready for it. You have to be like, I will let my imagination run wild in this paper. Okay? Don't go with a preconceived notion कि ये करूँगा, ऐसे नहीं होगा. वहाँ जाके you'll face some bouncer, you'll find some difficult topic. Choose the easiest one according to you. But even if it is difficult, try to think about it. Okay? Don't just go with a very static mindset. Okay. But last is your interview related questions. Okay, what are the questions when you think ki personality test? I mean, anything regarding personality test? Any questions? DAF. DAF mein kya? What? Bolo bolo. Hobbies and all. Anything else? Backgrounds or? Okay. So interview again. Some people think interview is just a casual conversation, right? That you have to do. It's not. It's a very highly prepared conversation that you have to prepare. They don't have to, you have to, okay? That preparation doesn't start from after filling DAF, it starts before filling DAF, okay? So first is DAF filling in interview. This is interview preparation. Okay? So first part is DAF filling. Please fill it honestly. People try to bluff here. They try to sound smarter than they are, or they try to include things that they have not done. Please don't do that. You are a serious aspirant. You have cleared mains. You have done something good in life already, right? Please be honest. Write all the hobbies that you sincerely do. Write all the backgrounds, everything, every sport that you have played, whatever you have to do. Just be very honest here, okay? Honesty का मतलब ये नहीं होता है we undermine ourselves. Whatever you have done, please write it proudly here. Okay? If you, some people say we don't have sports experience, for example. अरे कुछ तो खेला होगा ना, कभी तो खेला होगा ना. Please write that. Okay? So that when a question comes, you can deal with it. And as an average 25, 26-year-old aspirant, there are only few things that you can do in that time frame, right? They know that. So don't write that you have been national champion in every sport. You are not. It is not possible. So please be very honest here, okay? During DAF filling. Now you have filled your DAF, okay? Now comes the preparation part. The preparation is as rigorous as mains, honestly, interview preparation. What you have to do is you have to take all the keywords from your DAF. It can be your occupation, it can be your work experience, it can be your address, anything that you think is a keyword in your DAF, please write it separately. Okay? Once you have written everything separately, all the keywords that are there in your DAF, write it separately. Please ask your friends, family, your well-wishers, your mentors, anybody to form questions out of those keywords. है ना? Suppose I have, so I'll give you an example. I've worked at Microsoft, okay? So there can be so many questions that I can ask you and you can tell me 10 questions. That what was your profile like? What was your experience? Why did you leave job at Microsoft? Anything, okay? Brainstorm. Not only you, please ask your friends, family to brainstorm, or your mentors, or any coaching institute that you might want to visit for interview preparation. You have to brainstorm on every keyword, at least 5 questions. Okay? After doing this, you'll have a question bank, right? Sit, take every 10 questions per day, write down the answers. Why am I saying so? Because if you have not written down the answers, you'll talk all gibberish on the final day because you'll be nervous also. Right? So you must have a framework of how the question will be asked and what my answer would look like. Okay? This will help you first structure your thoughts better because you have written it down. Okay? यहाँ पे आप लिखो, please prioritize your points. Suppose you are writing anything, suppose you have done anything in health sector. Okay? Now, I'll ask you challenges in health sector. So and it's an expected question from anybody who has worked in health sector, right? So what you have to do is you have to prioritize your points. It should not look like the most important point is coming in the 5th or 6th preference, right? Because that is also part of your personality also. That are you able to recognize the most important issue first? Okay? So when you have written down these answers, all these things will automatically happen. Your prioritizing will happen, your structures will happen, and your answer will look very crisp and concise. Okay? This is about all the keywords of DAF, right? Okay. Apart from this, see, nervousness is a very genuine human emotion. This will happen. Please, nobody take this key, you know better than them. You never know that. You will never know that. They are very senior people. They have completed their careers in something you are trying so hard to enter, right? So there will always be that intellectual and experience difference, okay? Please humbly accept that. It will be there. Some people try to think ki we will teach them something new and come out of the room. It will never happen. Please don't go with that mindset, okay? ये nervousness आपको होगी, ये सबको होगी, ठीक है? And they are very understanding of that thing कि somebody is nervous, okay? So ये nervousness रहेगी. Please don't think कि इसको आप preparation से काट दोगे, ऐसा कभी नहीं होगा. When you'll enter Dholpur house with a motive of giving interview, you will be nervous, and it's a very normal human aspect. So start accepting it. You'll be nervous, okay? But if you have prepared this, I am assuring you that your preparation will be better than any other aspirant that you know. Okay? Because you have brainstormed everything that is there in your DAF, and you have made questions out of it, and you have answered those questions. Please revise this. Okay? Then there's something called as question bank from previous interview transcripts. Okay? This is again very important. Whenever you are going to give interview, there's a Telegram channel that they will let you enter, which is called interview transcripts channel. Okay? In there, you will find many transcripts, around hundreds, 300s, 400s. Just use Control F search, and ये जितने भी आपके keywords हैं, put them. You'll always find questions that are asked in the final interview from your keywords. Okay? Make a question bank out of it. यहाँ पे ही उसको include कर लेना, कहीं पे भी include कर लेना. Please solve those questions. Please think that if those questions were asked to you, what your answers would be, because there are high chances, because again, the boards are the same. The panel members are more often than not same. So there are high chances that those questions might repeat themselves, right? So please prepare from there. After preparing everything, please always be ready for bouncers in the question. It might happen that nothing is asked from your DAF. Okay? Like this happened with me last time. Nothing was asked from my DAF. I went inside and there were all philosophical case studies that were thrown at me, right? So this might happen. So please be prepared कि कुछ भी हो सकता है. Okay? Again, whatever you are telling, please be very concise, very crisp. ऐसा नहीं है कि if they ask you something about anything, suppose they ask you education sector के problems बताओ. Can you not list down 15 problems? Everybody of you can, right? But is it required to tell them those 15 problems? No. Please tell them 3 problems and stop. If they want, they'll ask you further. Otherwise, they'll move to the other question, thinking that this aspirant has a fair bit of idea of what are the challenges in the health sector. These 3 points will be again your prioritized important points. So they'll know that you know how to prioritize your points as well. Okay? This. Apart from that, any hobby that you feel, please, एक तो I'm assuming कि आपने honestly भरा होगा. मार्केट में जो हॉबी चल रही है, डोंट जस्ट गो फॉर दैट. जो आपने जेन्युइनली किया हो, गो फॉर दैट, राइट? बीच में होने लगा था, पीपल वर फीलिंग वैदिक मैथ्स एज हॉबी. यू हैव नॉट डन दैट. एवरीबडी नोज. सो इफ दे एनकाउंटर एनी एस्पिरेंट लाइक दैट, जिसने अब मान लो वैदिक, हो सकता है कुछ लोगों ने की भी हो, आई एम नॉट सेइंग कि नहीं की होगी, बट मार्केट में चल रही है तो हो सकता है बहुत लोगों ने ऐसे भी लिख दियो जस्ट टू साउंड इंटेलेक्चुअल, राइट? दे विल ग्रिल यू ऑन दैट हॉबी, एंड इफ यू डोंट नो दैट हॉबी दैट वेल, एक तो you will never know any hobby better than them. In my first attempt, I filled stand-up comedy as watching stand-up comedy as my hobby, right? Because I thought कि अरे they might not know a lot about it, but it turned out that they knew so much more about it than me. They suggested me 10 shows that I've never heard also. So it's never going to be like that. आप कुछ भी hobby भर दो, they will know about it. They are very high intellectual people sitting there, right? So never bluff. Prepare your hobby well. Prepare everything about your hobby. This time what happened was, I was grilled by 2 members on my hobby. It was calligraphy, right? So calligraphy is not considered a very conventional hobby for a male candidate, okay? They grilled me, 2 members grilled me, including the chairperson. I was able to respond well. That is why I scored 193 marks in interview this year, which is good marks इस साल के हिसाब से, है ना? So please be aware and prepare of your hobby because you'll be grilled there, okay? any education that you have done, any degree that you have, they expect you to be a sincere candidate throughout, not only during UPSC preparation. Okay? So any graduation that you have done, please be aware about it. They will ask you questions. They expect good answers from you because you have done graduation in that subject. ठीक है? तो hobbies का हो गया, graduation का हो गया. इसके बाद if there are bouncers, like there are some questions which are very prevalent in the market, ये पूछ लेते हैं, वो पूछ लेते हैं. It is very okay to tell I don't know, sir, because they expect you to not know. ठीक है? So don't be afraid of telling I don't know, but opinion-based questions में you can't say I don't know. If they ask your opinion on some Supreme Court's verdict or something, anything, you have to have an opinion. Because if you come across as somebody who doesn't have opinion about things, then it's not a very good, very healthy sign for an administrator, right? Opinion should not be biased. Opinion should be constitutionally valid. Opinion should be, if there is a opinion aligning with the Supreme Court's judgment, the best, है ना? Because you don't have to defend it, you only have to apply it because वो तो honorable court का verdict हो गया, है ना? तो जो भी opinion दोगे, please ensure that it is constitutionally valid. I think I have covered more. Anything else in interview that you want to ask? Any weird questions that come across in market कि ये पूछ लेते हैं, वो पूछ लेते हैं, ऐसे नहीं पूछते, ठीक है? Interview is a genuine process in which they want to know you. जो आपने किया है, जो आपने DAF में भरा है, only based on that, right? They are not asking, they are not trying to outwit you or outsmart you. They already are smarter than you. So that is not their purpose anyway. When you say I don't know, you humbly accept कि sir, this is beyond my understanding capacity. I don't know. Just they asked me where is the constitution that was originally written kept. I could have bluffed, right? Parliament. But because I didn't know, I said, sir, I don't know. So then two of those members gave different answers and then they started debating where it is kept. So mostly there are questions that हो सकता है किसी को भी ना पता हो, right? So you can definitely say I don't know के number नहीं कटते हैं. बट अगर आप अपनी हॉबी में किसी चीज में आई डोंट नो बोलते हो या फिर आप अपने ग्रेजुएशन में आई डोंट नो या ओपिनियन में आई डोंट नो बोलते हो, दैट गिव्स अ नेगेटिव इंप्रेशन. ओके, जस्ट ट्राई टू बी कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनली वेरी अलर्ट एंड वेरी एप्ट. ओके, या लेट मी चेक इफ एनीथिंग इज रिमेनिंग. ओके, इफ यू आर गिविंग इंटरव्यू फॉर द फर्स्ट टाइम, प्लीज ट्राई टू गिव मोर मॉक्स. ओके, बिकॉज फर्स्ट there are experienced people in the mocks panel as well who are looking through your DAF. So you will have many good questions from here, right? Many questions that were asked to me on the final day were at some point asked to me in the mock interviews. It helps you. Second, it helps you practice your language. Okay? You might not be very proficient with your English, Hindi, or whichever mode you want to give your interview in. It will help you refine that. Then it will help you bring more their better postures, right? Somebody shakes their legs while talking, somebody moves their hands, all of that doesn't have to be done, and mocks interview will help it. For the first timers, please give more mocks. Okay. Yeah, that is about all the strategy. How many of you will give prelims for the first time next year? Everyone? Ma'am, you? 2024 में you'll give. Okay, okay. हाँ ठीक है. तो see my journey has been very more downs than up, right? I gave interview 4 times in my 4 attempts. Every attempt I reached an interview stage, but I was not able to make it into the final list due to some issue or the other, right? In this case, please persevere. That is the most important requirement in this exam. It will always happen that you will feel yaar nahi hoga, right? This is one of the most grueling exams that you'll face. Why? Because the competition is so high. All these strategies, if you'll follow, you'll be a serious aspirant, but at the top, see, always remember at the top there is lesser place, right? So competition will always be very high. So you have to persevere, but you have to persevere strategically. How? You just don't keep studying thinking कि मेहनत कर तो रहे हैं. You always have to find problem क्या रह जा रही है ना? Always keep analyzing your mistakes. Keep sticking to good solutions. Talk to serious people, talk to successful people in this exam. Because more often than not, the problem that they must have encountered, you are also encountering, right? The difference between me and you is I am just 3 years early, 3 years early, and you are 3 years late. After 3 years, you'll be standing here telling the same things to the next set of aspirants. Okay, so you just have to persevere. You have to work hard. You don't have to give up in this exam, but you have to rectify your mistakes. Please don't keep stagnating. कि सेम सोर्स से पढ़ के सेम चीज हो रही है, नंबर नहीं आ रहे हैं, पर फिर भी वी आर, यू हैव टू रिवाइज दैट सोर्स बट अप्लाई डिफरेंटली, राइट? Because in my case, the most pressing issue was paper 2 in my optional. Okay, I was not getting marks in that. This time I reversed my strategy in that paper and I got around 150 marks in that paper. So it helps, right? Re-energizing yourself, relearning, unlearning is part of this process. Okay, so you have to do that. Okay, now I think I'm done from my end. Please, any questions that you want to ask? Okay, optional strategy. ठीक है, हाँ, that is one thing that is missing. How to select an optional? Okay, select an optional. आप में से कितनों का PSIR optional है? Sociology, Anthro, इसके अलावा कुछ भी? Philosophy और Commerce और Maths and Literature? मैथिली लिटरेचर. ओके, हाँ. तो अब देखिए, अब ऑप्शनल जब भी आप सिलेक्ट करने जाते हैं, देयर आर 5 to 6 थिंग्स दैट यू हैव टू कीप इन माइंड. फर्स्ट थिंग दैट यू हैव टू कीप इन माइंड इज यू हैव रेड द सिलेबस ऑफ दैट ऑप्शनल. सिलेबस कौन सा? जो यूपीएससी देता है. ओके, यू हैव रेड दिस सिलेबस, यू हैव गॉन थ्रू दिस सिलेबस एंड देन यू हैव चेक्ड वेदर दिस सिलेबस, जो भी चीजें लिखी हैं, कैन यू एवर डू इट. जैसे फॉर एग्जाम्पल, सम पीपल हैव इशू इन लर्निंग फैक्ट्स, लर्निंग कीवर्ड्स, राइट? बायोलॉजी में उनको बहुत प्रॉब्लम आती थी. एंथ्रोपोलॉजी में बायोलॉजी का काफी एक सिग्निफिकेंट रोल होता है. तो इफ यू हैव प्रॉब्लम इन रिमेंबरिंग फैक्ट्स, डोंट गो फॉर एंथ्रोपोलॉजी बिकॉज यू हैव रेड दैट सिलेबस एंड you can change it. I'm not saying you cannot change it, but when you're talking about selecting optional, I think one factor should be syllabus. The utmost important factor should be the syllabus from UPSC's website. Second thing is previous year questions. कोई भी आप ऑप्शनल उठाओ जिसमें भी आपको डाउट आ रहा है, please go through the previous year questions. If you can develop a thought around those questions, that optional is for you. Because on the final day, when the questions come, you have to develop a thought around those questions, right? तो previous year questions. Third thing what you do is, आप YouTube पे जाओ, ठीक है? आप टाइप करो any optional that you want, ठीक है? There are introductory lectures in which that teacher is telling you why to take this optional. सारे optional का देख लो जिसमें डाउट है, ठीक है? There would be some optional that you can relate with, some you can't relate with. जिसके साथ आप relate मत कर पाओ मत लो, जिससे relate कर लो वो ले लो, ठीक है? Fourth thing that is there is study material, test series, ठीक है? Any optional is good or bad based on the numbers that you score, ठीक है? It might be that somebody knows a lot more about sociology than me, but I might have better numbers than him or her, okay? And that is what finally counts. You are taking an optional to score number in this exam. You are not taking an optional to do PhD in that subject. Please have that distinction. Why am I saying so? Because people eventually end up reading so many books on their optional, but they cannot write a good 2-page answer. What is required in this exam? That 2-page answer is required, okay? So you have to have the study material and the test series which is aligned with the UPSC's requirement. Everything is about that exam, right? You are taking an optional to ace that exam, not to become a professor in that optional, okay? So the study material and test series is very important because test series will help you. होता क्या है ना कि GS में तो बहुत साथ ही मिल जाते हैं. Optional में more often than not you're alone. You're preparing alone. It's a very limited set of people, right? So you need a good test series for this. Otherwise you will not know whether you're writing good answers or not. The fifth part is the overlap. I have kept it very low in my priority because overlap is, people think that this helps, but this not really helps, honestly. Because every paper has a unique strategy, right? That is why you will see many toppers from mathematics this year. Now there is no overlap in mathematics and GS, right? But it's a very rewarding optional. I'm not saying take mathematics. I'm saying whichever optional you should take, overlap should be one factor, but a lot lesser importance. ठीक है? Syllabus, previous year questions, आपकी understanding about that optionals requirement, study material test series, ये होना चाहिए आपके major optionals select करने के, ठीक है? Let me check if I've missed anything. I think all this is optional के selection के part. इसके बाद आता है optional की preparation part, ठीक है? आप कोई भी टॉपिक पढ़ें अपने ऑप्शनल में, आई कैन टॉक अबाउट सोशियोलॉजी विच इज़ ऑल्सो रेलिवेंट फॉर एनी अदर आर्ट्स ऑप्शनल, राइट, विच इंक्लूड्स इकोनॉमिक्स, एंथ्रोपोलॉजी, PSIR, एनीथिंग. सपोज कोई थिंकर है, ठीक है, आपने समझ लिया कि ये थिंकर ने क्या बोलना चाह रहा है, ठीक है. सपोज यू नो व्हाट दिस थिंकर वांट्स टू से थ्रू हिज और हर कॉन्सेप्ट्स, राइट. डू यू हैव गुड 2-page notes on it? This is the key requirement in this exam, right? That understanding should be reflected in your 2-page notes. Follow a point-wise strategy in optional, okay? Write your answers in points, it helps more than writing in paragraphs, okay? You should have this 2-page notes on every concept that this thinker has said. Suppose they have given 4 concepts that are in your syllabus, 2 page आपके पास सब चीज़ के होना चाहिए, ठीक है, कि आखिरी में when you revise you only have this 2 page to look into for one concept of that thinker, ठीक है. ये concept भी if you write down in points, suppose there is some any concept, suppose in sociology we read about suicide, okay. Now if I know what thinker wants to say in suicide, but if I have like 4 points, I will be able to replicate it to the examiner that I know exactly what the thinker wants to say, rather than writing 4 paras and elaborating. See that checker knows the concept, है ना, तभी तो वो check कर रहे हैं मेरा पेपर. तो अगर मैं सिर्फ 4 छोटे bullet points में बता पाऊँ कि ये क्रक्स है इनके कॉन्सेप्ट का, तो वो मेरी बात वहाँ पे कम्युनिकेट हो चुकी है, ठीक है. तो इस नोट्स में सुसाइड के आई विल हैव लाइक 4 to 5 पॉइंट्स, दैट्स इट, 2 pages में, राइट, एंड एग्जाम्पल्स होंगे मेरे इसमें. तो ऐसे करके मेरे पास हर कॉन्सेप्ट के कितने 2-2, 3-3 पेज के नोट्स होंगे, ठीक है. दिस इज फॉर पेपर 1 आई एम अज्यूमिंग, ठीक है, बिकॉज पेपर 1 इज मोर थियोरेटिकल. व्हेन इट कम्स टू पेपर 2, now this is very India based, okay, wait, hold on, बहुत ही गंदा लिख दिया ये तो, एक सेकेंड, ओके, पेपर 2, ठीक है. now this is mostly India based, ठीक है. यहाँ पे इंडियन सोसाइटी या इंडियन पॉलिटी या इंडिया फोकस बात होती है यहाँ पे, ठीक है. आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट आर्ट्स ऑप्शनल, ठीक है. टेक्निकल ऑप्शनल्स आर डिफरेंट एंड आई एम नॉट वेरी वेल वर्स्ड इन इट. तो मेरी स्ट्रैटेजी नहीं है टेक्निकल ऑप्शनल की, मैथ्स की मेरे पास स्ट्रैटेजी नहीं है, इंजीनियरिंग सब्जेक्ट्स की, दैट इज अ डिफरेंट टॉपिक. आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट द आर्ट्स ऑप्शनल, राइट, विच मोस्ट ऑफ द एस्पिरेंट्स आर टेकिंग. पेपर 2 इज इंडिया स्पेसिफिक. यहाँ पे दिस इज द डायनामिक पोर्शन, ओके. तो डायनामिक पोर्शन होता है यहाँ पे, आप जिस भी कोचिंग जाएंगे, जो भी मटेरियल लेंगे, मोस्टली दिस इज लैकिंग इन दोज मेनी टॉपिक्स फ्रॉम पेपर 2 दे वुड हैव जस्ट स्किप्ड, ठीक है. आप ये नोटिस करेंगे जिस भी कोचिंग में आप जाएंगे, बिकॉज मेनी टॉपिक्स आर डायरेक्टली टेकन फ्रॉम GS पार्ट, बट देयर इज अ डिफरेंस इन आंसर राइटिंग. यू डोंट हैव टू राइट ऑप्शनल्स आंसर लाइक GS आंसर्स, though they are in points, but they are technical answers, right, because you are expected to have a master degree level knowledge in optional, right, so it should be reflected in your paper also. So whenever you are doing that, again in every topic you make again 2 pages notes, and ये कहाँ से topics आ रहे हैं, right from your syllabus, ठीक है. make 2 pages notes of everything that is there in your syllabus. You should have at the end 2 register होना चाहिए आपके पास, 1 for paper 1, 1 for paper 2, जिसमें आपके पास हर टॉपिक के जो सिलेबस में 2 से 3 पेजेस का मटेरियल होना चाहिए, जो आपको बाय हार्ट तो नहीं बट बहुत कुछ याद होना चाहिए. ऐसे में क्या होगा, people ask me whether to include thinkers in the optional or not. Definitely you have to include thinkers. Is there a relation in these 2 optionals, in these 2 papers? Definitely there is relation. You can use any concept from paper 1 in paper 2 and vice versa, ठीक है. Why? Because अब questions भी वैसे आने लगे हैं कि India will be asked in paper 1 and there can be something from paper 1 that can be asked in paper 2, ठीक है. Now it is moving towards a very dynamic thing and इसलिए optional में नंबर भी नहीं आ रहे हैं, right. तो what you have to do is आपको सब कुछ interlink करना है. ये इंटरलिंक कैसे करेंगे, जब आपके पास नोट्स होंगे और उसमें आपने उस चीज़ को इंक्लूड किया होगा, है ना. कि फॉर एग्जांपल भाई इंडिया में अगर फार्मर सुसाइड हो रहा है, ठीक है, तो फार्मर सुसाइड को मैं बहुत चीज़ों से रिलेट कर सकता हूँ, बट वो मैं तभी कर सकता हूँ व्हेन आई हैव रिटन दिस समवेयर. आई विल नॉट बी एबल टू थिंक दिस इन द एग्जाम प्रेशर, बिकॉज ऑप्शनल में टाइम का प्रेशर भी होता है. इट्स नॉट, दे विल नॉट गिव यू इनफ टाइम टू थिंक, बिकॉज दैट इज नॉट हाउ दे design this exam, right. They have to put you in pressure so that the actual you comes out in the exam, right. तो आपने जो कुछ पढ़ा है, अगर if you have done it from a exams point of view, then I think you will be rewarded better rather than just understanding the optional. Optional बहुत important होता है. This is one of the key determinants to your selection. I was not getting selected because my optional marks were low. GS marks this time were same, optional improved, and I got rank 40. So I'm saying optional, you don't have to ignore it. It will you will end up having giving more time to GS because that is what most of your friends are doing. Please take around 50% of your time to optional. Please give this. Okay? And do this. First, understand. Don't go for this 2-page notes making in your first reading itself. You will end up writing everything and you will not understand. First, take 2 to 3 readings में आप सिर्फ पढ़ो क्या है उस optional में, ठीक है? You understand what is there. Join a test series for optional. Why? Because this will help you in application as well as this will help you in making understanding better about the optional. So when you encounter a question and you write an answer and then you study the solution, you will find many things that you didn't know, right? If this is something worthwhile, अगर आपको कुछ ऐसा लगता है कि यार ये कुछ नई चीज सीख ली, please include it in your notes. ठीक है? There are some thinkers that you'll find कि यार these were not part of our syllabus, but उस पेपर या हमने जब वो क्वेश्चन लगाया हमने, तो from the solution we got to know about these thinkers. Please include these thinkers in your 2-page notes because what will happen is conventional thinkers सबने लिखे होंगे, एक या दो थिंकर पर आंसर आपके अलग होंगे. दिस विल फेच यू 0.5 मार्क्स मोर एंड 38 क्वेश्चंस होते हैं. यू विल एंड अप हैविंग मोर मार्क्स देन एवरेज, अराउंड 20-25 मार्क्स मोर देन एवरेज, विच इज वेरी गुड मार्क्स. ठीक है? तो दिस इज हाउ यू अप्रोच आंसर राइटिंग इन ऑप्शनल. एनीथिंग एल्स दैट यू वांट टू आस्क इन ऑप्शनल? हाँ? No, so my was sociology, so I can only talk about sociology, right? Okay, for sociology, sources, ठीक है. Now this is not relevant for people who are not sociology optional. ठीक है? Paper 1, let's divide it into like this. Paper 1 and then this is paper 2. Okay? Paper 1 में first refer any good coaching institutes notes. ठीक है? ठीक है? Second thing is there's a book called Harlem Bose, if you have heard. It's a blue book, big book. ठीक है? You don't have to read it cover by cover. Just some topics like family, religion. ठीक है? Starting topics like research methodology. ये सब वहाँ से पढ़ लेना. ठीक है? Otherwise इतना ही पढ़ना है इस बुक से. ठीक है? Then there's a book called Ritzer. This is for your thinkers part. ठीक है? Then there is an additional book called, I think it's Fundamentals of Sociology by Nitin Sangwan, right? Nitin Sangwan, correct. तो इसमें क्या होगा ना? This book will help you making those 2 pages notes. इसमें सब कुछ points में दिया है. ठीक है? तो whichever topic that you think यहाँ से cover नहीं हो रहा है, ठीक है? या फिर आपको ये नहीं समझ में आ रहा है कि टॉपिक तो समझ आ गया, आंसर कैसे लिखेंगे? दिस बुक इज वेरी गुड. नितिन सांगवान बुक फॉर सोशियोलॉजी ऑप्शनल. ठीक है? इतने में आई थिंक मोर ऑफन देन नॉट आपका पेपर 1 कवर हो जाएगा. ठीक है? व्हेन इट कम्स टू पेपर 2. अच्छा, इफ आई एम मिसिंग एनीथिंग पार्डन मी, बट अभी याद नहीं आ रहा है. ठीक है? बाकी हो सकता है कुछ और स्टैंडर्ड चीज़ें हो, लेकिन वो आप ऐड कर लेना, वो समझ लेना. ठीक है? देन पेपर 2 में इग्नू इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. अब इग्नू पूरी पढ़नी है क्या? नो, यू डोंट हैव टू स्टडी एंटायर इग्नू. ठीक है? इग्नू इज अ बल्की थिंग. सो व्हाट यू डू इज, देयर इज आई थिंक विजन IAS का ही there's this PDF on sources that you refer for every topic in sociology. If you Google, you'll find this. So उस PDF में under every topic there is written which IGNU chapter you have to follow for this topic. Please download that. ठीक है? Once you have seen that, तो आपको पता होगा कि which topic has which IGNU chapters relevant. वहाँ से उसको पढ़ लेना. Apart from that, महापात्रा sir's notes are very nice for paper 2. ठीक है? महापात्रा सर के notes अच्छे हैं paper 2 के लिए. ठीक है? Whatever is not covered in this, you can easily follow in IGNU. अगर IGNU में भी नहीं मिलता है, the material that you'll get in Nitin Sangwan. ठीक है? Apart from this, please, if you see, there is विकास रंजन सर की वेबसाइट पे वो सोशोलॉजी रिलेटेड न्यूज़ आर्टिकल्स डालते हैं. If you'll see, you can read that. डेली वो शायद 1 या 2 आर्टिकल, या डेली नहीं, वीकली भी डालते होंगे. आई एम नॉट वेरी श्योर, बट या he uploads है ना on his look for the website name, I don't know that, but विकास रंजन सर का, वहाँ से आप एक करंट अफेयर्स सोशोलॉजी में ला सकते हो. ठीक है? आई थिंक नोट्स देख लोगे, इग्नू देख लोगे, कुछ बचा तो सांगवान से देख लेना. करंट अफेयर विकास रंजन से देख लेना. इसके अलावा आई डोंट थिंक एनी मटीरियल इज लेफ्ट. बट जो भी करो, ओके, you follow all of this, please make your own notes. In anything, if you don't have your own notes, you will suffer on the final day. You will not remember key things. When you've made your own notes, you will always know what was there, what did I study, what did I replicate, what did I revise. Okay? Please do that. Anything else in sociology? See, I'll tell you. I took Mahapatra sir's 2 or 3 months wali coaching. I left midway because I didn't think it was functional, but many people go here. He's a very good lecturer for sociology, so you can follow his notes even if you're not going to the coaching. Vision's coaching, I think Smriti ma'am is there. हाँ हाँ हाँ, very good teacher for sociology. You can definitely follow her notes. Whatever you do, please also take a test series for sociology if you are clearing prelims. Okay? In that, वो कर लेना. Apart from this, ये तो हो गया स्टैटिक पार्ट, ठीक है. इन एनी ऑप्शनल, वॉट एवर ऑप्शनल दैट यू फॉलो, प्लीज किसी टॉपर की स्ट्रैटेजी देख लेना, उनके आंसर्स देख लेना जो उन्होंने किसी भी टेस्ट सीरीज में लिखे होंगे. वॉट यू डू इज, सो सपोज आई गिव यू, लास्ट टाइम रैंक 2 थे जागृति अवस्थी मैम, सोशियोलॉजी ऑप्शनल, राइट. तो मैंने उनका एक सेमिनार देखा था कहीं, तो किसी वेबसाइट पे देखा था. तो देयर शी वाज डिस्कसिंग हर स्ट्रैटेजी, ठीक है. मोस्टली माइन इज ऑल्सो, ये सब तो ओके, ऑल दिस इज स्टैटिक, दिस इज एवरी टॉपर विल टेल यू दिस फॉर सोशियोलॉजी. व्हाट एल्स आई डिड वाज फॉर सोशियोलॉजी, बिकॉज इट वाज माय वीकनेस, राइट. सो आई हैड टू रीलर्न एवरीथिंग. तो व्हाट आई डिड वाज, आई टुक ऑल हर आंसर्स, सो हर आंसर कॉपीज वर अपलोडेड. ओके, तो व्हाट आई डिड वाज, क्वेश्चन देखता था, आई यूज्ड टू राइट माय ओन आंसर एंड देन आई यूज्ड टू कंपेयर विद द आंसर दैट शी हैज रिटन. ओके, काफी डिफरेंस समझ में आता था मुझको, राइट. Every day I used to improve my answers to match her level. You can take any other topper's level. I am giving her as an example, okay? I used to always see ki how different my answer is from her answers. And this is how I used to write 5 answers every day in sociology. And then gradually that distance reduced. Marks में भी थोड़ा distance है, but I have scored better than what I used to get, right? तो this is one strategy that you can follow for your own optional. जो भी टॉपर आप जिसको भी लगता है who is aligned with your line of thought, their strategies aligned with your line of thought, you can definitely download their answer copies and you can do this practice. ठीक है, keep writing answers in your optional. It is very important. It is going to fetch you the most marks. If you see, it is very easy to score 50% in optional. 250 is a very average score in optional, but you cannot score 50% in GS. This is statistically I'm talking about, right? You cannot score 125 marks in any GS paper. It is impossible. Only rank 1 or 2 you will find कि किसी एक पेपर में उन्होंने 125 प्लस स्कोर किया होगा, राइट. ऐसे में you can, GS में you cannot. More often than not, we try to devote our time towards GS. GS भी पढ़ना है पर ऑप्शनल भी पढ़ना है यार, ठीक है. यहाँ पे 250 इजिली ला सकते हो, यहाँ पे तो आप 280 तक ले जा सकते हो अपने स्कोर को. बहुत एक्सेप्शनल रहो तो 300, बट आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट टॉप 100s या टॉप 10s एवरेज. चलो ठीक है, तो 280 आर वेरी गुड मार्क्स. You can easily score. You cannot score in GS, you can score in optional. So you have to prepare your strategy where you have to maximize your marks somehow, right? Okay, this is about optional. Anything else in any optional, any generic thing if I can help you with?
So which is more marks fetching, numerical or subjective?
Okay, this question that which optional fetches more marks, I think is not a very valid question because every optional fetches marks provided you are good at it. So if you'll see, if I talk about sociology, you'll always find people who are scoring 290, you'll always find people who are scoring 190, and this is true for every other optional. Every optional mein you'll find toppers, every optional mein you'll find people who have terribly scored, right? So whichever optional you take, please follow a very strategized approach. Keep writing answers. Mains is all about how much you can write, honestly. But you don't have to just blindly write things. You have to improve every day. As I told you, the brainstorming thing that you can do from sectional papers and how you can apply it in the full length papers, I think this will help you. ठीक है? Anything else in optional? So yeah, have I answered your question? Every optional is good as long as you are good in it. ठीक है? हाँ, please. Language as in English or Hindi? No, you don't have to be master of language. You just, that is what I'm trying to say now. When you're very good in English, no, you'll start writing in paragraphs. You only have to write in points, right? Please try writing your optional answers in points. ठीक है? So you don't have to be good in language, but in any language that you study, keywords would be the same, right? Keywords you have to know. In every optional, keywords and thinkers are two things that will differentiate your answer from a layman's answer. Because these arts optionals are such that suppose if a question comes on women, right? It can come in GS1 also, it can come in sociology also, the same question. But the answers would be different. In GS1, you will try to complete all the dimensions, right? Physical, economic, political, sociological. Here you just have to write sociological aspect of it, right? Gender will come, religion will come, caste will come, everything else will come. So your answers should have a sociological bent, right? In sociology. In your any other optional, that also applies, right? So your language is not important, the keywords are important. Correct? Anything else? Okay? Okay, at the end, just one thing, that whether you take coaching or not, it's up to you. And results come from both the sides. Please. Okay, so when you read anything for the first time, right, एक thought develop होगा आपको. You don't have to just put that thought into notes. वैसे नहीं करो. When you read it for the second time, you will understand new things first, and the previous learning will cement itself, right? Then when you're reading for the third time, you will realize what are the key points that I need to know in this. समझ में आपको सारा आ गया, but there are only 4 to 5 key points in every topic, right? These key points should go in your notes. Same day नहीं करना है, same day नहीं करना है. I am assuming if you are a serious aspirant, you will revise it 3 to 4 times or whatever. You can revise it 30 to 40 times also based on your capacity, your understanding, right? On an average 3 से 4 बार में आपको चीज़ें समझ में आ जाती हैं, ठीक है? जब समझ में आ जाए, जब थोड़ा सा when you have the maturity over that topic, और जब आपने previous year questions देखे हैं, you know what kind of questions are asked from that topic, your notes should have that, कि अगर वही question repeat हो गया इस topic से, तो what is the best answer that I could write. ठीक है? So your notes making should be a very mature effort. It should not be कि जितना समझ में आ रहा है सब लिख दो, otherwise you are copying Lakshmikant again, and that is not the requirement of this exam, right? People study from the same source, yet the marks are different because the replication of that same source is different, and you have to excel in that. Okay? So limit your sources, but expand your understanding. Okay? Learn more things, learn new things, but limit your sources to just 1 or 2 and revise it again and again. Okay? Replicate it better. ठीक है? I was talking about coaching. Coaching low na low, whether you take coaching or not is immaterial. Whatever you are doing, coaching provides you guidance. You can get that guidance through yourself also, but coaching also gives you discipline. अगर आप खुद से discipline हो, you don't require coaching. तो both the sets get marks. There's nothing like coaching नहीं करोगे तो नहीं होगा, या करोगे तो हो ही जाएगा. Both the things are not true. Okay? I didn't take coaching, I could score good marks. You are taking coaching, you can also score even better marks. That is not the case, right? So that doubt should not be there. Okay? Anything else? हाँ, एक सेकेंड के करके. हाँ, आप बताओ. See, if you start making notes from newspaper every day, then it's a very tedious job. And at the end, you will have 365 to 400 pages notes of newspaper. You will not be able to revise. Don't go for that. What I told you for current affairs is read newspaper. I read The Hindu. You can also follow the Indian Express. Anything you can follow, right? And once you have done that, go to any website. I think IS Baba does it, Insights does it. There are many websites that analyze that paper from UPSC's point of view. That is important for you. So if you find anything important from that, so what I used to do was, वो जो 5 क्वेश्चन होते थे ना, दैट वाज फ्रॉम एवरी डेज न्यूज़पेपर. आई यूज्ड टू सॉल्व दैट. जो उसमें एनालिसिस होता था, आई यूज्ड टू फॉलो, आई थिंक बोथ इनसाइट्स IS बाबा एज एंड व्हेन टू एज पर माय कन्वीनियंस. ओके, तो वो चीज़ मैं 1 या 2 पेज पढ़ लेता था वहाँ से, कि क्या क्या चीज़ें आज जो आई हैं वो इंपॉर्टेंट है UPSC's पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से. वंस आई हैव डन दैट, एंड एट द एंड व्हाट आई यूज्ड टू डू इज, सपोज आई हैव 30 days. ओके, नाउ इफ आई टेक 10 days, मतलब 10 day का मटीरियल इन 1 day, आई एम एबल टू डू 30 days का करंट, पूरे साल करंट अफेयर इन 30 days. इन 10 दिन का मैं कैसे करता था, वही जो 5-5 क्वेश्चन पर डे वाले होते थे ना, उनको रिवाइज करता था पीछे से, क्योंकि मैंने एक बार किया होता था दिस, बहुत कम टाइम लगता था ये करने में. एंड एवरी डे आई यूज टू डू 5 क्वेश्चंस पर डे वाला, तो ऐसे 50 क्वेश्चंस हो गए ये 10 दिन वाले, तो वो मेरे आप समझ लो हार्डली हाफ एन आवर में हो जाते थे. तो हाफ एन आवर एवरी डे 30 डेज में 360 डेज का या 300 डेज का जो होता है इफेक्टिव रिविजन ऑफ करंट अफेयर्स, वो मेरा यहाँ से हो जाता था फ्रॉम प्रीलिम्स पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू. ठीक है, और क्योंकि मैंने ये चीज़ की होती थी तो टाइम कम लगता था. एक तो आई एम डूइंग इट एवरी डे, एंड एट द एंड इन द लास्ट मंथ आई एम गोइंग इन द रिवर्स ऑर्डर बाय टेकिंग 10 डेज का क्वेश्चन एक साथ एंड डूइंग इट. तो ये भी आप कर सकते हो. ठीक है, और कुछ? हाँ, आप कुछ पूछ रहे थे.
Should we have same mindset while preparing for pre and mains? Like we book for it, so it should be same while pre or mains की तरफ से, या it should be different objective?
See, as I told you earlier also, the conceptual understanding would be same, right? Whether you're preparing it for prelims point of view or mains point of view, understanding is same, application is different. When you're applying in prelims, what you're looking for things that can help you reach the most appropriate answer. But when you're writing it for mains, your approach is towards analyzing the issue, right? So when you're analyzing, pros, cons, way forward, diagrams, facts, सब कुछ आ जाएगा उसमें. But when you're doing from prelims point of view, you just have to see वो 3 ऑप्शन कट जाएं और मैं एक पे पहुंच जाऊं. वो डिफरेंट, एप्लीकेशन डिफरेंट है, अंडरस्टैंडिंग दोनों की सेम है, स्टैटिक रिसोर्सेज सबके सेम है. ठीक है, एनीथिंग एल्स? एनी डाउट्स? नो? हाँ, प्लीज. नहीं, लक्ष्मीकांत इज see, for polity, Lakshmikant is necessary and sufficient both, honestly, right? So when you have studied Lakshmikant, आपको static का पूरा knowledge हो गया. But then there are analytical issues, right? Like when you say कि parliament performance कम हो रही है या number of days या जो भी जैसा भी, तो I talked about subheads, right? तो उस subheads में वो सारी चीज़ें आ जाती हैं. तो when you're preparing for this, so suppose you if you're not able to get any material for any topic, right? Just write that topic UPSC and Google it. You will find the material for that. वो material पढ़ो आप, जो भी आपको important चीज़ें लगती हैं अपने notes में डालो और वो topic आपका खत्म हो गया. So this is how when you divide your GS या mains का into subheads, you'll be able to follow all of this. Okay? Anything else? नहीं? चलो. So I'll wrap up my session. I just wish you all the best. Do well. Just keep working very hard and analyzing your mistakes, because at the end that will count when you'll end this journey, right? Chalo, all the best.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.